It is my great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Ms. Nadia Abdulaziz, who is the president of the Association of Air Freight and Logistics Organization in NAFL in Dubai. Ms. Nadia is a UAE national born in Dubai and is a marketing, freight, and logistics professional who worked for some time in a family business, Dalsco, one of the largest manpower supply chain companies to the shipping and logistics industries in the Gulf and the oldest in the UAE. But Ms. Nadia today brings to us a new perspective, her vision and sharing with us the mega trends that we will be seeing and experiencing transforming the Middle East and North African region are very fundamental to us in framing our plans, understanding the dynamics, and the new energy and impetus which is really evolving in the industry. Ms. Nadia Abdulaziz, thank you very much for being with us. Really appreciate it. And we look forward to your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon, everybody who has joined us from the Far East, and a great early morning for the people who are joining us from Europe. First, I'd like to welcome you to this session, and I will be hopefully giving you a brief overview of what's happening in the region, the impact. Of course, we can't deny the impact of COVID on the trade and supply chain logistics freight industry. And I will also be covering some of the areas where there are trends, but there are opportunities that may be of interest to you. I will try to share my presentation if you can see it. Is that okay?
Okay. Yes, we can.
Okay. So first of all, we're going to go through, as we mentioned, the impact, the new norm, and the trends and the opportunities within.
Nadia, could you go to full screen?
Okay. Okay, so I'll give you the impact and then the new norm and the opportunities, as well as the trends that are taking place within the Middle East region, North Africa. As we all know, the impact of COVID on the economies, on the trade business. First and foremost, once the COVID hit us, unfortunately, the first thing that happened, China closed down. And not only did China close down, yes, it is in China, it does not involve us, but we are mainly in the Middle East region, heavily relying on imports from China and other parts of the world. So that impact definitely impacted us in the logistics, in the trade, product shortages, product delays. The ports were closed also, so nothing was functional. All of that over the past period has impacted really the shipping industries, rolling over the cargo shortages that until today you see shortages of containers, space, price hikes within the shipping industry, price hikes within the airline industry, threefolds, all due to the initial impact of COVID, and that is also gradual right now and continuing. Because of that, all the forwarders, logisticians, airlines, shipping lines have improved the capacity, because we learned from what happened in the initial part of COVID, and we have started improving the cargo capacity. Border restrictions, we saw the close downs within the Gulf region, the shutdowns, even in the Middle East, the borders, Morocco and other regions, they've all closed down initial stages of COVID. Right now, we see some countries closing down for a few weeks, opening up again. Examples are in Saudi. Same goes for Morocco and some of the other neighboring countries, mainly to avoid more COVID cases coming in through the borders, which also impacted the cargo industry because drivers go through. Also in Saudi, the border restrictions was also because of the safety. They are part of the IRU initiatives, and they are taking it seriously about the truck safety with the borders. Trucks over 20 years old in the future may not be allowed to enter Saudi. Newer trucks, safer trucks will be allowed. So These are some of the trends that you will be seeing that were non-existent before. As you can see, also the business community, traders get together using online platforms, networking in order to improve their businesses. Of course, you've seen for certain products, demand supply shocks, the pharma goods, the oxygen goods, shortages in certain goods. These goods had to be moved by air if there was port closures, etc., or using land or multimodal. Governments all have emergency response systems. Now they are even better than they used to be because nobody expected something like COVID to impact the entire globe in such a short time. Risk mitigation for the forwarders. We all know that what we're doing now is risky. Anything can happen, any disaster, whether it's weather, shipping, like this thing that happened with the Suez Canal, or the battery leakages and the explosions taking place, port issues and disasters, as well as COVID. So forwarders, supply chain, logistic companies, as well as traders are moving on to look at different areas to reduce their risk and get a better insurance coverage on their business and also liabilities, and make sure all of their assets are covered. Air travel restrictions opening up and then closing down. We've seen what happened with the shutdown within the Gulf region for flights coming from India, Pakistan, some of the African countries. It has started to ease up now. They just started a few weeks back opening up the flights. So business is trying to get back to normal within our region, but however, there are still strict controls in other parts of the world. Of course, social distancing and working from home has become the new norm, and production relocations. A lot of the manufacturing facilities have moved from China to other regions, Vietnam, Thailand, India, etc.
Nadia,
yes?
Nadia, I get a message that your screen is not fully shared yet. Could you press the share screen, please?
Okay.
At the bottom of the picture, you should have share screen.
Yes, 1 second. I'm trying to. Okay.
The bottom of the Zoom.
Yes, I did it, but okay. You can't see it?
No, that's not been shared yet. If you can.
Yeah, it says sharing screen. So is there something with the?
It seems to be okay now. It seems to be okay. Can you put the full screen, because there's a full screen, full show down the bottom.
1 second.
You should have a tab at the bottom.
I'm trying.
Press project mode, maybe. Project mode.
And
no.
Okay, it says show grid video. No. Show active. No.
Okay. I think some people are saying they can see it clearly. Let's proceed. Let's not delay on that. Thank you.
If the control can do it from their side, I'd be more than happy.
I don't think they
press something and then I have an issue.
Yeah. No.
Can
Okay.
they see this?
Maybe it's in PDF format. That's why. Never mind. You carry on. I think I'm getting feedback that people can see it. It's not a problem. Let's proceed.
Okay.
I'm sorry for breaking the flow. Please.
Don't worry.
Thank you.
Don't worry. So as we mentioned regarding the production relocations, a lot of the factories have moved from China to other countries. Some of the US credits have been shifting things from China and giving the factories better credit benefits and moving them further to Latin America. Now, when we look at the exports and how the exports have been impacted within different regions, United States, EU, India, China, Japan, Korea, it has been negatively impacted. And a lot of them have taken a long time to get back to a positive mode on when we are looking at export growth. However, China from Q2 onwards is it started having a positive growth mode in terms of its exports. And because also the entire world is relying on the production and exports from China, since they produce a lot of the items, where I will share the screen on that too. The quarterly also GDP, we can see all of the regions after the COVID, there is a huge spike in the GDP growth in Q2 2021. Almost everybody in that region, you can see a hike within the same time period, and then it settles down. This was prior to COVID a more stable growth GDP. However, because of COVID, it has been up and down, and it's spiked up in Q2 2021 at its peak. Moving on from there, which tells you also the global economy was projected also to grow at on an optimistic level at 8% for 2021 within Q2. And it is exactly how it's been shown in the previous slide. Yes, all regions have seen a really huge spike in growth in Q2 2022 when it comes to the GDP. And GDP and trade are directly related to our industry and impact our logistics. Now, as we mentioned, China, when we look at the Middle East region, especially also the GCC region, is one of our #1 trading partners. When we look at every single region, we put the cities in China, every single city in China, you can see what it produces. Zhou electric cars, high-speed railways, Guangzhou plumbing hardware, Shenzhen electric products. Now, when we look at the Gulf region, one of the most highest imports that comes to our region is electronic goods and telecommunication goods. After the precious metals and the aluminium, these are the highest imported products into our region, and it's mainly from China. So if there was any closures within the ports in Shenzhen or any of these areas, definitely you will see us impacted. A lot of companies have started to do reshoring because of lack of supplies. Also, a lot of supply chain diversification, trying to use different types of supply chain modes to make sure that the goods are delivered. If there is a blockage recently, a few weeks back, there was 3 main ports in China closed. So there was rerouting and diversifying of cargo routes within China to reach the final destination. Of course, that comes in with additional cost for the traders as well as the forwarders. Then you look at right now, nationalization is the new trend. Instead of going global, people are trying to look at new sources to meet their demands, local demands, looking at suppliers nearby within the country to make sure that they get the products demanded and there is no shortage. Also, you see a lot of buffer products kept in case of emergency, in case of any closures. The governments are trying to, even the traders are trying to keep the necessary materials, medical foodstuffs available in case of any shutdowns that may impact their daily product requirements. As mentioned, there have been some relaxed regulatory rules and regulations regarding some product and plastic production. Moving the manufacturing, as I mentioned, a lot of European companies have moved production to Vietnam, Thailand, because of what happened, and they don't want to put all their eggs in one basket. They want to reduce the overall liabilities or even risks involved in their production, and they don't want their clients to face any shortages or face any contractual penalties. Also, as we mentioned, there are some tax reforms and improvements for companies that will move out of China by the US and move to Latin America. And this is also because of the codependency by all countries on one region. And this pandemic has really proven to us that we really need to reduce our risk and need to work on just in case rather than just in time. In terms of freight and the freight transportation, if we break the multimodal operations, the road transport, you'd see more focus within our region and more focus from the governments on digitalization, use of single window, better IT facilities, more specifically even after the pandemic, because they realized that's the way forward and everybody is working remotely. So that's the best way to go ahead. And it's definitely reduced cost and improved efficiency. So you'll see more visibility becoming part of this using digitalization. The processes for the land transport, road transport, they're trying to work together to make things simpler for the forwarders. And the business model used is the customer comes first. So the end-to-end solutions are given to the clients, higher customer expectations, which means faster, more efficient services. And this could not be achieved without the use of IT and applications and digitalization, single window services. The sea freight is very much similar. Examples, we have Jebel Ali, we have the ports in Saudi now have started also 2 years back, 3 years back almost, using the single window. In Morocco, they also have Port Med, the single window for Casablanca port. So smarter port operations, technology-driven clearance, which means the use of single window, which is used for all the imports, exports, sea freight operations, shipping, etc. And freight aggregators and consolidations taking place more using online marketplaces, demand, supply, quotes, everything has been done online by various people. The market is open to all, so there's no restrictions. So online business is the way forward. Air freight, it's the same. We've got the better cargo community. IATA has introduced various initiatives for the airlines. Even the local airlines have introduced a lot of initiatives to support the traders during the COVID and post. Increased collaborations between airlines and land transportation. You see a lot of collaborations between, for example, the national airline and the private large land transporters to ensure goods are delivered from one airport to the port or to the neighboring countries. And focus on efficiency and global cargo networks. We've got one global Dubai Cargo Alliance, and you have WCA, and you have many of these freight networks that are available online, which help the freight community get together, get business from all over the world, and reduce their cost because they're working online. Multimodal solutions, of course, the same thing. We work together, we try to simplify things and align the supply chain diversification business into the multimodal business. We've seen a growth in e-commerce. A lot of the supply chain multimodal solutions are addressing these and grabbing this market. So as I said, instead of working for just in time, now we are working on just in case. Just in case there is a closure in a port. There is a strike a few days back in one of the airports in China. You will expect maybe the airport to close down or some of the airline services to be stopped. You may face higher rates. So we need to look at these different scenarios. Just in case there's a problem with the ship, how can we divert the cargo? How can we send our cargo using a different route? The same thing happened when we had the incident with the Suez Canal. So there's many things taking place. People are looking at insurance, looking at different scenarios, natural disasters. What is the backup plan for these things? Keeping extra inventory, manufacturing closer to your area, getting your suppliers within your region, even if it may be higher cost, but it makes more sense for you, it reduces your cost. And using better platforms and product and plant harmonization. And more partnerships. You'll see more partnerships between the government, the private sector, the trading community, the logistics community. And as we said, multi-sourcing. A lot of companies have restructured. They outsource their goods and they reduce their costs, and they rely more on the digital services right now. Now, when we look at the growth opportunities, a lot of these constraints that took place regarding the ocean freight, congestions at the port, rolling over the cargo, shortages of containers, ships being stuck, delays, higher costs have created opportunities within that same industry. So modernizations of the transport, of the infrastructure. If you have tracking devices, management systems, this is an opportunity, because a lot of people are looking at the IT part of this because of the issues that they have been facing. Capacity constraint due to lower belly capacity and the high freight rates have made a lot of companies use chartered flights, cold chain infrastructure. There's more demand for pharmaceutical and security products. So if you're into flight chartering, you will be in a better business because of these constraints. There is more actually demand also right now for chartered cargo flights. The border delays, driver shortages because of the COVID situation, because of some border restrictions within the Gulf region and even in the Middle East region, has brought in more demand for telematics, fleet management systems, automation, sometimes even autonomous vehicles. That will be definitely in the future. I see that coming in, especially within this part of the world. There's greater focus by the governments to use technology to enhance the services of the customs, borders, ports, etc., which directly also impact us as forwarders and connect us to the government's single window for imports, exports. Social distancing, of course, this will increase the demand for warehouse automation, less of humans needed, and also the sorting and packing. If all of that can be done by the robotics and loading and unloading using technology, this will have more demand because people are trying to reduce the different touch points between people to avoid the COVID risk and spike in that. So freight capacity challenges, a lot of problems to find capacity on the shipping lines, sometimes with the airlines, sometimes it's cost. And if you have huge mega events coming in place, you can't take that risk. So there is now growth for contract logistics. You see a lot of contract logistics growing for the big conglomerates, hypermarkets, big fashion houses, trading stores. Recently, there was news about huge hypermarkets getting together where you can get all your annual supplies at wholesale price online. So this is a new initiative that's going to take place from the UAE, and it will go to the region because brands like Lulu and other big hypermarkets are involved, and it will be all done online. And restrictions on movements and going out and trying to be on the safe side have increased maybe 3/4 higher the e-commerce usage. And e-commerce, any increase in e-commerce will definitely give you an increase in logistics. So you see a lot of locker boxes being used at the malls, delivery robotics, drones, etc. This is the way forward. And we definitely, if you have a traditional business, you need to look at going online and being part of the e-commerce world, because this is the future. And it's not going to slow down. In fact, it will increase even more. And as we mentioned, why e-commerce? Because you've got contactless operations. You can use augmented reality. The cost is cheaper. You can reach a global audience, and the ease of shopping and the comfort of doing something more useful while you can get all your groceries or shopping done online makes it even more interesting. And one more thing, the middleman in between will be eliminated. So if people are into those middle businesses trying to sell goods, they have to reinvent the wheel, because this will be, after a while, you won't see a lot of this. Everybody is going to buy things online. This is something similar to what happened to the hotel booking industry. We had the disruptors in the technology like Booking.com, Hotel.com, Agado, and the rest, which had made hotel booking much easier. We don't usually go now to the travel agencies. We do it online. and we save even costs. So this will be something that will definitely disrupt the trade industry and will bring in more business to the logistics. And we have now also re-commerce because of the financial crisis that was caused by COVID. A lot of people are buying now re-commerce goods, which are second-hand goods, products sold online. And as I mentioned, last mile delivery will be bringing in a lot of business. So that is a growth area for people who are looking at opportunities within this section. And what do we expect? Of course, we've mentioned more reliance on local networking, e-commerce, diversifying our businesses, looking at different areas, and the use of augmented reality also as an experience for our customers. And the AI also, in terms of artificial intelligence use, you can forecast what the demand will look like. You can forecast what if scenarios, factor in the risks involved, have better real-time tracking. So artificial intelligence will play a major role in what we do and forecasts of our future and what we need to do for the future. And automation, that's the way to go. As we have also seen here within the UAE, the port terminal number 3 is fully automated by young females. And this was never gonna cross our mind before, but they are sitting in air-conditioned rooms having their coffee. They are managing the entire port using automation technology. So nothing is impossible, but we do have to focus on technology. And I think business is going back to normal within, I would say, more than the Middle East, African regions, within the GCC, because of the impact of the vaccine. Right now, we have more than 70% of the population vaccinated. So we have more of a herd immunity, which helps the business run as usual versus other countries. So within the GCC, we see a lot of people being vaccinated. It has helped bring back the business back to some sort to the norm that we were used to, mainly because of the vaccines and lower cases that we have. That helped the business. And as we mentioned before, we close regional integration, coordination between countries, production, relocations is something. And new corridors, trade corridors are being used to avoid any issues that might disrupt the trade business. So looking at different corridors, or also looking at backup trade corridors for your supplies. Online networks, multimodal connectivity, of course, and global logistics hubs. You have the King Abdullah logistic hub, you have the UAE, Dubai as a logistic hub, you have the Suez Canal mega logistic hub for the mega ships. And we've seen the warehouse automation, a drive towards technology, digitalization, green logistics, of course, reuse and recycle kind of work taking place more than ever right now. And as we mentioned, e-commerce, e-commerce, e-commerce. That is the way to go. That is the future. And any technology related to supply chain technologies, predictive real-time technology is in demand. So that's an opportunity. Route optimization, cost optimization technology for the infrastructure, land transport is in demand. Cross-border commerce, supply chain platforms, process automation platforms is in demand. And supply chain sustainability and resilience, electric vehicles, drones, robotics, analytics also will be in demand. And also digital platforms and warehouse aggregations, last mile deliveries and innovations will definitely be in demand. As we can see around us, wherever you go, the last mile delivery guys on their motorbikes, getting you your best meal, your best orders from Noon or any of the Amazon goods to your doorstep. And you've never seen so many people on the road as you see right now. And this is all because of COVID. And COVID is the main reason why we have automated, I think, and digitalized our businesses. No leaders, nothing. It was mainly the COVID that really sparked every company to move to the new wave of technology. Thank you for being here with us. And if you do have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer that. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nadia, for your very, very comprehensive and detailed panoramic situation of what you see as the future ahead of us. Very complex. I have two questions here for you.
Yes.
I'll start with the first one because it's opportune that we finish on that last chart. Your last chart is really, really powerful in terms of predicting those mega trends. But the question from Mr. Hadi Hood is implementing supply chain agility is expensive as it adds redundancy to the supply chain network. How do you determine the boundaries of supply chain agility implementation vis-a-vis profitability?
Right now, you can invest in your own software, or there is another option for logistic companies to use cloud-based software where you just pay a minimum fee, where you get all the latest technological digitalized services at a fraction of the cost. So either I come as a software company, I sell you a big software which may work, which may not work, and it's a big risk. Depending if you're an SME, you will not take that risk. Or you come to the other ones who can cater to all businesses, and the risk is less and the price is a fraction. And they use cloud-based technology to assist you with your logistics and automating your logistics, getting your reports, forecasts all on time.
Okay, great. So, other questions come in. Can I ask you, you talked about the GDP, the different GDP due to COVID and the disruption created.
Yes.
Now, and you also talked about the stimulus, about how that's going to grow. What time frame do you think would be reasonable for Dubai, being a young country, very agile, very automated, to rebuild the trend that we saw previously? Is that going to be 6 months, 12 months, 18 months? What is your prediction feeling on the ground?
To rebuild, you mean, I think if you notice that everything has been started to open up almost back to normal, hotels have started to get the green light to open at 100% capacity. We have more than 70% people vaccinated in the country, and the vaccines are continuing to go on. Businesses are up and running, events are up and running, exhibitions. We're going to receive a lot of delegations for the World Expo 1st of October. I think, and I see around us also a lot of confidence, a lot of people visiting the country from Europe, from Africa, from CIS, from the States. During the pandemic, in the middle of the heat, because I think of the trust they have with the health services, with the facilities, with the strict control, which I think will help the economy go back to normal and people recover from the downturns of COVID. And this is why we see most of the economies, there is a big hike in Q2 2021. Right. Because also of the vaccines taking place and people are able to do business almost as they used to.
That's great news. We hope that next year this conference can be held live, not more virtual. But yes. The last question, the last burning question, Ms. Nadia, is inevitable. But with the recent events in Afghanistan, do you foresee any impact as Dubai is a hub for supporting military bases or other type of support? Is this going to be a positive, negative, or neutral impact you feel? And this is, I think, a burning question that everybody has in their mind.
See, what's happening, I think, in any part of the world, when there were disasters, Dubai and the UAE, whether it is humanitarian or military requirements, or connectivity requirements, or certain ports shutting down, using Dubai as a logistic hub to support countries. So you have the highest humanitarian aid leaving the country. It comes out of the UAE from the humanitarian city. A building of air bridges to support countries in need or to support countries who are going through a difficult time, hunger, natural disasters, etc. So I am sure the connectivity, the logistics, the infrastructure can be used to support these countries and the people, if need be, through the humanitarian city, the UN food program. So we do have that, and we do have a lot of military logistics also taking place here, because we've got specialized companies who handle that, and the infrastructure is available.
Right. Ms. Nadia, we are running out of time, but thank you very much for a fascinating insight into what is going on, and we really look forward to meeting up in person next year in Dubai, or maybe even this year in Dubai, and taking this conversation forward. Thank you very much for your time. I know you're very, very busy. A pleasure seeing you. All the very best wishes to you and your organization. Thank you
so much. Thank you, sir. Thanks.